We are going to call to order the planning commission regular meeting for September 23rd, 2025, 6:30 PM here in the council chambers. Roll call, Val Shep is here. Rhiannon Heller, vice chair.
Here.
Megan Winters. Alice.
Here. I'll say he doesn't attempt the last name. It's like that's Keurig.
That's Gary. I could say that just the Alice part. Alan.
Yes, sir. Here.
All right, so, we had no agenda and did not have an August meeting, if anybody's keeping score. So we need to approve the meeting minutes from, July 22nd. Seems like a long time ago. Yeah. So has everyone reviewed the July 22nd minutes to their liking?
Yep.
Move approval.
Entertain a second.
I've noticed like one. It's like the night but yeah. Underneath.
Got it. Multi-model grants, yes. Yes,
Oh, wow.
Oh, my.
for those that are
Nice ball.
online, yes, we are being thunderstormed. All right. So can we approve with the exception to have the typo for model to modal? Anyone have a second? All right, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Okay, thank you. They are fast. So we open and close with public comment. The only caveat is public comment at the beginning is reserved to agenda items only. This is online and this is here in our audience. In person, you're welcome to come up, sign your name and sign your address. Please do not feel the need to state your address because this is recorded in a social forum. But I will say for this and for the end of the meeting, comments are welcomed. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. And we ask you to refrain from all of the things that make it unneighborly. So personal attacks and things. So with that in mind, I will turn over the floor to any public comment we have on the agenda items tonight. We have any online?
Hands up.
No hands up. On Zoom, if you press the raise hand button, we'll give you a second to do so. No raised hands. We are moving forward. All right. So, first line of new business is going to be the DCED, Downtown Assignment Alternatives. I'm going to turn things over to Mike Tedesco from the Borough, who is sharing a screen with the map that is handed out to the agenda holders here tonight.
Correct. So the screen is shared. Quick context as a reminder, we received early this year $325,000 from the Department of Community and Economic Development for downtown pedestrian safety and streetscaping improvements. What you see before you are 3 big sheets on 11 by 17 that show 3 alternative design concepts. These were drawn by the borough engineer, Larry Keenan. And our goal is to get feedback on which one of these concepts is favored amongst residents and entities within the borough. This is the first public conversation toward that end. This will also be shared at the business development mixer on September 30th in the form of 3 large boards that people can comment on and share their thoughts about. And of course, council talks about it at every single meeting. So this is kind of the beginning of the actual concrete conversation, putting design concepts onto a piece of paper. And I should also note, there's 3 sheets of paper before you. The 4th sheet of paper, which does not exist, is nobody likes any of them, go back to the drawing board. So there's really 4 alternatives here. Allow me a moment just to kind of briefly walk through each alternative. This is alternative 1, your first sheet in your packets on the screen. The 6 dots, I'm going to use my mouse so those at home can understand what we're talking about. These 6 dots, actually 7 big black dots, are street lights. And the street lights are the most important, expensive design element within all of these designs. So essentially what you have are an alternative with streetlights, an alternative without streetlights, and then an alternative with just a couple of streetlights. The dashed X's between the streetlights are dangling beautiful string lights that we see in a lot of different neighborhoods, really across the country now. You also have the dangling streetlights going down East Crafton from Noble Avenue all the way down really to past Blue Snail and toward Carlos Place, really. This, as you can see, emphasizes that section of Stotts Avenue between Circle Inn and Serafino's. In the center with the roundabout is a focal point for all of these designs. It's kind of the bullseye for historic downtown Crafton. We're establishing a pedestrian peninsula, safety peninsula. So we're extending it out between that, goofy little concrete area that connect White Avenue and Crennel Avenue. So a little safety feature for them. They'd be redrawing all the intersections. So what you're seeing for the intersections here may well, in fact, be raised concrete intersection that is colorful and really, designates the pedestrian area. That's still up for discussion and budget conversations. And then we're kind of casually, well, I don't want to say casually, we are discussing the notion of redoing from a landscaping perspective the inside of the circle. So that is option 1. The other 2 options will not take me as long to talk about. So let me get to those. Option 2 really focuses on pedestrian safety within the circle. So it creates a raised concrete apron around the circle to provide a little more of a buffer. Sometimes cars kind of go over the circle.
Can you say that again? A raised concrete
Apron that it's more of a
and where?
around the circle itself.
I see, okay.
Yes. Semi-trailer trucks are not allowed down that road, but it happens from time to time. There's plenty of turning radius to accommodate for semis, but sometimes they just run over the circle. So providing those visual cues for them to establish a larger clearance around the circle is one of the thoughts behind the apron. And then again, the pedestrian peninsula connecting White and Crennel Avenues, a larger bump out on the corner of Stotts and Crennel Avenue. And these intersections may well be raised and stamped concrete as well. And there's 1, 2, 3 ornamental streetlights in this design. And I should mention, in every design, there is placement of bike racks and garbage cans. And those are kind of the smaller, tiny details that are tougher to see on the designs in front of us.
So just if I could offer we did have some review of this at the first business mixer. No, I'm sorry, at the business development working group. And it was the participants in the working group from the businesses who weighed in favor of the bike racks and the trash cans. And I have been asked that question recently.
Yes.
So just wanted to go on record as indicating that.
Thank you for pointing that out. On your middle sheet within the sheets, which is on the screen right now, it also calls out that area around the row of commercial, starting with Fig Tree, kind of as the anchor up on the hill. And it's showing some signage, some benches, bike rack, and a garbage can up around Fig Tree. And that would be the intent regardless of what design was chosen, just to show some attention up there.
Okay, so on the bike rack and everything on Crafton Boulevard is kind of
Yeah, yeah.
And the concrete around the circle is only the middle version.
The middle version and the third.
And the third, but
Yes.
not.
Yeah. So that's a good segue to design concept 3. Here it is. This is the concept that is interesting because we're trying to capture as much as possible. But what you're seeing for the raised pedestrian peninsula along White and Crennel, and then at Stotts and Crennel, and then 2 new, what I'll call bump outs on East Crafton Avenue. These may not be raised concrete. This may be just be visible pedestrian painting, some sort of different color marker for a safety cue to drivers and pedestrians for that matter.
Can you point to where?
Provide some clearance. These spotted areas,
On the top.
Or East Crafton?
yes, top is East Crafton.
Thank you.
But again, making sure the intersection around the circle is safer. And then this one incorporates, the expensive lights and string lights as well.
Does Stotts currently have, parking, they're called, paint?
Parking paint on the street.
Yeah,
I don't know, but in this aerial, you can see cars parked.
well, you can see cars,
Hey,
you can
There's
see
angle
cars
parking.
parked at a multitude of different angles, and that's what I mean by it's an exemplary.
I think it is.
I recall there were lines. Are they current and will they be maintained at an angle? Is that the idea?
Yeah, we have not discussed changing that, so I would think the answer is yes, they would be maintained.
Yeah, okay.
There's, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just observing the multitude of different parking angles that people have chosen. It's-
Everyone.
So there's really, no formal process to approve this. This is all about feedback. The Borough Council's Infrastructure Committee is kind of leading this process. Borough Council meets tomorrow night, so this may well be Borough Council's kind of first touch on it, so to speak. Obviously, the Infrastructure Committee saw these at their last meeting a couple of weeks ago now. So we're just gonna circulate it around. I suspect we'll post it on the website, probably with some sort of poll attached to it. For folks to provide direct feedback via the website. It's good news. We got roughly 300K. It's bad news. It's only 300K. Only goes so far. So,
And it goes quick, right?
yeah.
But
I was gonna ask, what has public safety being consulted on these, like, to make sure that the fire sucks
Yeah.
around?
That's a good point. We will consult with them. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get the perspective.
So you
So,
might want to describe to PRT too, since a bus goes through people.
The bus does go through the circle.
yeah, I would say the flag one thing that comes out as apparent here is if we're putting up string lights. We're installing a physical height requirement. Are they high enough up that it's anything usual and proper that can get through their box trucks for deliveries, et cetera? Is that,
Fire trucks.
yes, fire trucks shouldn't be ripping down the lights. Is that everything that's been designed here is gonna be above those?
Yes, the standard is 20 feet plus
Okay,
for the lowest point of the dangling string.
yeah,
if one of the things we mentioned is the street lights, one of the cross drivers. Some of these things, you've got six or seven street lights on Stotts. I mean, if there's any, no, I'm not suggesting compromise, but if there is something that we say, you need 6 or 7 lights there.
Yeah,
Or you need,
extend.
or could
the-
4 do well, or
Right,
if that helps you do something else.
right,
Like
exactly.
re-landscape the circle or,
Yeah, with installation, we're assuming about 30K per light.
yeah, okay.
That's a lot.
The only other comment I would have is regarding the bump outs, and that is, your comment about potentially they might be not rated.
Mhm.
I hope the engineer has really looked for something called a single unit design in turning rate. Language with the highway folks require, and it gets into, they're typically. have a more difficult turning radius than even a trailer. And, but that's not uncommon, with fire trucks would go on, and I don't know what the bus would turn radius. It's worthwhile just making sure that that's been checked out.
Got it.
That's. And I like the idea of having a slope. Kind of a spurt around the.
Yeah.
Around the center island, just in case somebody needs it. To sneak over there, because you got a very big deal.
It seems like only option one has like a lot of these crap in it. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, the string lights.
To follow up what Colin said about the number of lights on stops, if possible to think about word. And could we have or spread that love up to East Crafton a little bit, you know, because I'm thinking just about logistically. People are sitting outside on East Crafton and Serapinos. There isn't really, at least thinking about like sort of residual stops versus East Crafton.
And another question would be the light pollution for the buildings, the apartments on East Crafton to be considered as well. That's true. There was some concern about the lights on main artery and
Crafton
that
Boulevard.
boulevard.
Yeah.
At one point, so.
How high is the street light?
They'll be pedestrian centric. so-
No, I mean, like just a normal.
Wanna say 12 or so
Yeah.
feet per headlights? Yeah.
No. I mean, like a street light, like a.
Oh, taller, a
Yeah.
lot taller.
A lot taller,
Yeah.
right? Cause those already exist.
Yeah.
Those already exist. So we're like the light pollution from those are
Could be.
already present.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're underlighting, you know, where there are street lights. The other piece is if you don't put the poles on stops, you don't have the pretty lights that you can attach. Right? Because they probably don't span, what is that, 80, 90 feet?
Yeah, that is part of the design element. Where do we focus the street lights?
Yeah, and it's, you know, the question is, again, back to $300,000. Doesn't go far. Each pole you sink in the ground is $30,000.
Is that where we want to go?
Well, that's the question. Do you want to make that a welcoming corridor for anybody that comes through the circle to say, oh, what's over there? Right, as kind of a phase one, right? Because, you know, what I always worry about is when you spread the thin love that you have too far, you don't impact that.
Right, there's no impact.
Right? And so, you know, I like the idea of 1 and 3 for that reason. So all of these 1 and 3, so if you focus on 1, or if you focus on 3, that means that there really won't be anything that's done on the fig tree, or is fig tree included in all?
No, fig tree would happen regardless. I mean, at a minimum, fig trees get in the trash can and a bike rack. At a
Right.
minimum.
Right.
But I mean lighting, no.
Probably, I mean, the string lights are so cheap. We could probably find a way to do string lights. We just need, we don't know yet what we're paying.
It's not really an area though that has nighttime.
They're not open, right? They're not open.
Lights.
Yep.
You're like being there. Wanna go outside soon.
Not at this point. That's right. That's right.
It makes more sense.
But if you have string lights, do you invite more competition for nightlife business on Crafton Avenue? So that's a fair assessment, but either way, we don't have any money in either plan, any of the plans where we're sinking poles in up there, and we need the poles.
That's correct.
Otherwise, it's just kind of, you know,
Right.
Christmas time lighting that you're hanging from a pole. It's not a kind of a consolidated holistic. So,
So it sounds as if you're suggesting, and I'm sort of feeling toward less up there and more in our central area.
it sounds like in all 3 scenarios, we're not gonna be able to do lighting up there at this time. Because it just doesn't make sense yet. But,
No.
yeah, well, that's why I was asking about it. But the reality is, a nice trash can up there, it's the good thing, right?
Sure.
Anybody who walks their dog and is scratching their head like, why can I go to a coffee shop but not throw away my poop bag? Is wondering that I would.
Hit it behind a pole, put it up later, that whole system.
Right, right. So, yeah, and that's been years. I remember we had put the little mini drum there, like the burn barrel kind of thing. But that was difficult because it wasn't being picked up and it was smelly and the first place. So I think it's a great improvement all around. I have no opinion on all three offerings. I think they're all great. I love the idea of string lights and I seem to think that Stotts would be a good place to start, even though, like you said, you're lighting a parking lot and a back of Matt Griner's. You know, I get it, but it's a good.
That's good lights.
It's, yeah, well, but you're
It'll be-
connecting,
it'll be
you're
connected.
connecting, I like the idea of starting there. I don't know.
I'm gonna raise a question that was raised also at the business development group, working group meeting, which was the maintenance of dangling streetlights. And garbage cans. I think the garbage cans, felt a little more straightforward in response, like who's gonna maintain them? That's like the question. And how frequently will they be maintained? So that was one of the ones. Thank you, Megan, for reminding me. That was in there for sure. And the other is storms, dangling streetlights.
Yeah, they all year long. The streetlights.
They're permanent.
They're permanent, right?
They're year long.
And so that was just like,
Yeah,
what's the maintenance case? Is there something that's less dangling? I mean, is it just streetlights or are they dangling?
they're dangling string lights. Like you see all over. Year long, Public Works would do the maintenance. They're LED lights, so they last a long time. They'll be on a timer connected to a transformer. So I mean, it's pretty easy maintenance and they're really affordable.
I think the maintenance issue is like storms. Like that was the big question. Wind damage, right?
But to the point that what Mike just said is. They're LED, so they're low voltage, so they come down. It's not a public safety hazard. But it is a pain in the butt. I don't want to say that it's not. No. There's, yeah, I think it's well. Yeah, there's a significant lack of trees all through town, right? Let's face it. But it's just, I think it's a start to have some kind of unity and saying, welcome to, what did Art used to say? I heart Crafton downtown, whatever it was, right? I mean, it was a realistic aspiration of, what can we do to make people who come through here realize that there's something going on. Exactly. Right? And I think that the lights, again, I lean towards Stotts just because you're kind of putting all the eggs in one little spot. That's not a great spot, but it's a good place to start. That's my take on it.
I'm really happy with all of them. That's it. So they're simple.
For sure.
This has been very helpful.
Okay, yep.
They feel great. I can have a really big impact on town.
I really, I like auction. Meeting with that has, it seems like it connects. Describe it a little better, really kind of get the zones and words if posted navigate around. Potentially ways potential flat, estimated safety, I guess it's fine, because I can do this, well, first of all, regardless whether it's needs or not, it next to the circle a little better, and then also I have noticed cars instead of walks on regularly, cars that it's hard to see pedestrians, I think, and get off by the pedestrian and again, just like the park as long as it is. If the fire truck can get around that, someone with big person wants to get.
What do the bump outs do if it doesn't have a crosswalk there?
they connect to them.
So it's or painting, right?
Yes, so if it's option 3, this is the most likely scenario that the bump outs are just painting visual cues for everybody. If it's option 1, they're a little more likely to be raised. And so this is a bit of a rudimentary design, this this design, changes to reflect connecting to the raised character of specifically the peninsula between White and Crennel.
I just think that, you know, the reason why I would agree with option 3 is. Anybody who's turned, off of, Nobles on the canal. It's like this big wide street, like where do you turn? How do you know that you're, you know, it's a, you know, trying
You're into
to,
this
trying to
thing,
teach
like-
teenagers how to drive. You're supposed to be on the right side of the street, but not really, because those are kind of parking spaces. But they're not really well marked, and it's just like, are they supposed to be like, because you see here, people are angled in parking. The paint out there isn't so good. That should be, you know, that should be addressed. But the idea of a 24-inch or 24-foot berth there, gives you plenty of room for 2 cars to pass. I mean, I would almost recommend, and I don't know aesthetically. Talk to my wife, I don't know. Aesthetically, if you extended the bump out that you have in the circle with a dotted line or a polka dotted line or little pictures of unicorns, maybe, I don't know. That goes all the way over to Nobles to help people
I'm
understand,
glad you brought that up.
To help people understand that turn from Noble on the Cornell, it's like, well, do I make a wide turn? Because people coming up from the busway, well, they're kind of hogging the road, you know what I mean? So something to kind of calm the traffic, you know, to wayfind it, whatever the words are, I don't know. It just seems like if you just extended that paint that way so that people know, oh, these are parking spaces, I shouldn't be driving.
I see what you're saying. So right in here where I'm circling with the mouse.
Yeah, so if you start there where the mouse is right now, right there, and you draw a line over to the bump out. Oh, nope, to the
This
bump
way.
out,
Okay.
right across there, that shows that that's parking,
I see what you're saying.
right? Just
Yeah, so you come
something,
around, it's really,
Some emphasis on the crosswalk that is there.
yeah,
I think it was repainted recently, maybe, but it's still really wide, like Eric said, and if you're driving, it's hard to see people, and then if you're walking, it's hard to see drivers, so. No, that's not in any of these designs, but it's really connected with the circle in that
Yeah.
way, so it's worth.
and if it is just paint where you were originally, where your mouse is sitting right now, coincidentally. If you painted a little spot there as well on that side, that you may not need a line across it. But it'll show for the person coming up from the busway and the person making the turn, because it is a hairpin, it's a left turn that's coming off a Cornell. Don't cut the corner, you know, go up, you know, like something, yeah, exactly. Like that seems like a low cost, really easy fix for that long crosswalk and that, you know, all that sort of thing, so.
This would be very easy to lay out with just temporary paint.
Yeah,
Agreed.
To test it and then check some of the vehicles.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You can do some real cheap paint that almost washes away.
yeah.
and speaking of paint, I think, if again, we're looking at where to spend money. I mean, I can't visualize what the painted area for pedestrians would look like, but it seems to me like we could do something else and avoid the expense, and if the painted area for pedestrians would be attractive and sufficient, that would be a reason to think about it.
It's an opportunity for a future grant, whether it's a multimodal or something else. To say, hey, these are working, it's great for traffic, we're seeing things happen that are better, you know, people have actually responded. So maybe we do some sort of a raised bed there or some sort of a, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Because, you know, you know, in the worst case scenario, the big old Seagate fire truck can drive right over it.
Right.
But the reality is that most people would respect the curve that would be there and use the 24-foot, but width is considerable, right?
Yeah.
Alan, that's a normal road width for 2 cars to pass.
12-foot lanes, yeah.
Yeah, 12-foot lanes are significant, yeah.
That's plenty.
Yeah, so. I don't know what it is across there. It's probably 30 some odd, 40 some odd feet even. Cause it's a wide street like Stotts is.
So you'll take this maybe back to our engineer, I think a little bit about just like what paint maybe could be done between Noble and.
Yep. Yep, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, are we being asked to motion of the 3 plans, which one we prefer?
Not unless you are really motivated to motion. I mean, just verbal feedback right now is. good.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so.
One other thing that I would just ask is that we pay particular attention to we're drawing this attention to this area. And I know that you said that there's some money for doing landscaping around the circle.
Mhm,
I think we really need to give very careful thought to that.
mhm,
So that it is both environmentally friendly, but also aesthetically pleasing
mhm.
to match the design and be attractive to businesses and to pedestrians and to whomever we want to invite to the borough.
That's right.
And so I think that balance is going to be something to achieve. The other thing is having decorated in there for years. It is going to be a bigger job than we may think. So I don't know how you've forecasted budgeting and so forth. I mean, Jim had told me at one point that there was money for X amount and people were saying, well, that flagpole needs work and, but it is full of roots.
Mhm.
It's gonna really require a lot of digging up. There are some good rose bushes in there currently. There's also a dedicated plaque to come on, I can see his face. You know who,
Oh, Tony?
Tony Kushner.
Tony.
Yeah. So it is a shame that that is covered up.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just not respectful. Somebody that we dedicate something to and then it is not maintained so that you can see who it is dedicated to. The
Right.
circle isn't dedicated to him. It was just recognition of his efforts for planting the borough and being a tree city, just so you know the history.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's not, the circle isn't dedicated to him, but the stone is dedicated to him in recognition for his work in.
It'd be good to
Getting
keep a
features
lot of what's there as much as possible, right? I mean.
Yeah, I
in terms of planting, there's.
I guess what I'm saying is just, it's always overgrown. And so as long as we, there are many things there that are gonna attract butterflies that we can put in the park. And that we can put in the wash. It doesn't have to be where there are cars going around in fumes and
Mhm.
trucks running over it. So,
Yeah,
I think
we
we-
plant a big tree there.
right.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, we can plant things that attract birds to be birdsick.
Yeah.
So,
It'd have to be.
Well, and I think the Guinness Book of World Records or somebody might be consulted for the only traffic circle in America with a stop sign. in it. So,
Right.
Yes, that, we will re-sign the circle. I forgot to mention that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the time roundabouts just have yields.
right,
Right.
stops.
Yeah, not stop signs.
Recognize roundabouts for their safety the other day.
right.
Yeah, but this is a
Can you
very.
say
old
that again? I'm
design.
sorry.
Not the current roundabout.
I did some celebration of roundabouts. I think they are, I was slower roundabout,
Yeah.
not that it's modern roundabout.
Yeah, I think it's terrific.
But yes,
I think that the feedback is, yeah, it's great. 300,000 doesn't go far. There's not much that we can recommend at this point. I think that everybody here agrees that the business committee and some of the points that we've made are helpful to it. I will yield my last comment with, we're gonna put in trash cans. To your point, there's nothing worse than Sunday morning. That trash can being full of all, my dog and your dog's poop, so. Any of these plans, we would strongly recommend that there's a high and tight plan that they're maintained. By the borough, and I don't, some sort of mitigation or watching or monitoring or whatever. Needs to happen to make sure that, we don't get to Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and they're just now full. That there's some sort of a mechanism that, if people enter a service request or something like that, that there is some sort of responsivity from the borough to make sure that these things are not out of control, especially if you're trying to run a business serving coffee for people to sit on your sidewalk on a Sunday morning when it just stinks of high heaven out there because for the past 2 days, people have been pitching their ears. So,
agreed.
I like that, one and two do a lot, or at least touch these, and I think that's valuable. I don't have like the vote either way on all things, I think that. One and three.
why is the, just out of curiosity, why is the frontage of the fire station not in view here?
We didn't string the improvements that far down to the fire station. we discussed it. Basically, it goes back to your point of how do we focus?
Can't go too far, right, I get
Yeah.
it, I just I didn't know if that was it or something else, yeah.
But that could certainly be a suggestion. I mean, maybe that part of Stotts is the more important part of Stotts. I mean, that's up for the community conversation. I mean,
Well, I mean, to the extent that it does touch on Big Daddy's, dollar store,
mhm.
not that those are necessarily highlights. I happen to think Big Daddy's.
Well, they're not open at night, you know? I mean, I don't know how late the dollar store's open, so I take that back.
8 or
Or something.
9.
It's good, yeah,
Yeah,
but my point is they're not nighttime things.
right.
What seems like any sort of, Crafton's open, what we want to. So to me, the goal of this 300,000 is how can we help make the statement that Crafton's open for business? Right, and right now, the best potentiality for business is along East Crafton. There is certainly potential along Nobles for more business. There's potential along whatever that end of Stotts is for more business. But right now, on that end of Stotts, there's the barber shop that's not open at night. There's the tattoo place. I don't know what their hours are. I have no idea. But they're not exactly welcoming. And there's the Dentless Auto Repair right across the street. So they're in the back of the fire hall. So to me, like the East Crafton piece and focusing Stotts to that direction is, for the
Yeah.
limited investment you have,
So you guys made a good decision.
put your bang where your buck is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Very exciting.
All
Thank
right.
you for the feedback.
With that in mind, nice. Sales planning update. So I can speak to this. Does anybody want to speak to this? You want to speak to this, Alan? Yep.
Yeah, the consultant has proposed, has met with a committee yesterday, in fact. And had run over a series of sort of hotspots, priority areas. And the committee is gonna be advancing 5 sort of initiatives, which will be contained in a report that the consultant is going to work on. And the plan is, at least the last recommendation was to have a public meeting, but have enough time to really get the word out. And originally we were talking about doing something in October, but there really wasn't enough time to do it properly. And so they're gonna have it, at least it talked about they're having it on the 12th of November. And probably that's gonna be confirmed to make sure that that date works, but between then and now, the consultant will be able to produce a document that can be shared widely and in advance of the meeting and so I think we're all looking forward to the committees and the borough staff are really looking forward to hearing from folks about the reaction to these ideas. Certainly the primary feature is still the Creek Trail, as well as the so-called Baker Trail, the old Colorado, but there's got a series of connections and those are part of the other elements that are being recommended as initial steps, so. So it's been a good process. I think the consultant's done a good job. They've been really thorough. And so we'll see what they've got and hopefully we'll get reaction from folks and off we go. What have I missed here? Dave?
You get it all.
Or Greg, I mean? Okay,
The consultant is definitely, I don't mean this as a derogatory or negative, it's erred on the side of accessibility. And not all trails are accessible, right? And I think that the thought that they put into trying to, maybe if not today, but a path to someday, like the coming down from the sled riding hill and.
yeah, that's a really the
Yeah,
big nastiest challenge.
Yeah, that's a multi-million-dollar project if you want to put a trail down to that, that's.
Yeah, maybe not, see.
Yeah. Potentially, right? So more to come on that. And that's what the public inquiry is around, is like those sorts of things. But, I would say that Park Street is probably, borderline accessible. The sidewalk on it. So a lot of those steep slopes are, that's what they need some public feedback on of, okay, this is where we are. Here are the priority areas that really the consultant can't answer. but can help you understand that these are the hot spots, here's the bright spots, here's the hot spots, here's what needs attention. What do people feel about that?
Yeah.
And then that turns into the action plan going forward, so. I think the consultants did a pretty bang up job. Okay, anything else on trails planning? So yeah, November 12th is not locked in. It will be announced
So
on.
I'm waiting for confirmation, I get it. But it looked like it seemed like a good date for both the borough and the committee members, that's for sure, so.
Right.
There'll be
Yeah.
some kind of announcement.
Yeah, I would say pencil it in for now and it's subject to possible change, but
Yeah.
more than likely, November 12th is gonna be the day. Right, so good stuff. I think it's long overdue and it's great to see. With that, anything else on trails? Okay, Business Development Committee.
We have our second business development mixer this coming Tuesday, from 5 to 7 at Realty Borough, actually the Crafton Center. Since I don't think I've been in a committee meeting since we launched the shop local Crafton decal at Big Tree for our first mixer that had, I think we had 4 to 5 business owners present at that one, so we're hoping for more attendees at this one. I saw some feedback from the July meeting that the last mixer was on the date of Constant and Park. Great feedback, because I also was bummed to miss Constant and Park that night. So hopefully we'll have some more folks at this one.
Yeah, we selected Tuesday because it was bumped into many other things, so hopefully.
Yeah.
That will help.
Yeah, we've had this one advertised for a while, so I'm hoping for, more folks to be there. I think after that, we'll probably have one more meeting of the subcommittee to talk about what data we gather from the mixer, because we're hoping to get some insight on things like this DCD grant that was presented at this meeting. So people to hear about the, what the Borough is up to from Mike as the business development director. And then at the meeting following that of the working group, I hope to sort of formalize the information that was gathered in this mixer, bring it back to the planning commission and then sort of winding down.
Yeah, I think that's a good from where we are. I'm just gonna do a little plug for the upcoming on Tuesday. So for anybody who might happen to be listening or watching, and anybody here who would speak to anybody who's in business, a business owner, don't have to live in Crafton, but they do have to own a business here. If you could encourage them to come, you're walking into Big Daddy's, although I've already beat Blair over the head to try and get him to come, and Jim Domeno, but it is gonna be valuable for them because Joe from Realty Company has worked with you, and we have market data to present about business in Crafton and business in the West End. We have an update on the business directory and an opportunity for them to get to see what's in there, where they have a chance to weigh in on these designs, as you've said. They also have a chance to answer 3 questions about what they'd like to see from the borough and from the planning commission. So it's a rich agenda for them to provide input. We just would love to get 20 people there and not 5. And so we've posted on Savvy Citizen at least twice, if not 3 times. And we have flyers. We're trying to get them out. So anybody can spread the word. It's 5 to 7 at Realty Co in the shopping center.
And I don't know if this was talked about the last one, but the members of the working group called through all of the owners or all of the businesses in Crafton to sort of, confirm the information that we had on the directory, invite them to the last mixer. And we got some emails from that, and I know Chris and I, the people whose emails that we had, too. There's been a lot of data gathering.
Yeah.
Right over the last few months.
Yeah.
Will the market intelligence be made available to like any other, I don't know, like council or something? So I'm thinking that could also be something interesting if someone was considered starting business experience.
Yes, absolutely. That's like one of the boards that I'm getting printed, it's actually already done, shows the retailers that fit Crafton's market, retailers and restaurants, but are not represented.
Okay.
And so that'll be on a big board, and there's like 50 of them or so. It's like the top 50-ish. And I'll ask people to identify which ones they like best. And we can directly market to those retail site selectors and say, hey, keep Crafton in your head. And it's appropriate that we're meeting at a real estate place, particularly one that specializes in commercial real estate, because they interface with these site selectors as their day jobs. So them understanding who really fits our market and who we want in our market, like of those that fit. We're good with vape shops, but we do want the cool microbrewery or whatever it might be. Those are the sorts of interactions to have with the commercial brokerage community, because they're direct ambassadors between Crafton and site selectors.
The other thing I would say is that all planning commission members are invited to attend, so if you can join us from 5 to 7, and that
So
extension
that's
has
not-
always.
There's no sunshine issue with that, right?
No.
Yeah, we're not talking about, yeah.
And
Okay.
many borough council members came last time, and hopefully they will come again. It was again against a council night as well last time, so that, stunted the
And it
participation.
was July.
And it was July.
rough.
For
They're all
vacation.
vacation.
Somebody's on vacation, so.
Yes,
Thanks
we-
for planning it, putting it together.
Yeah, great work.
Oh,
It's been a long time coming, what you guys have done in literally a couple of months. It's fantastic, really is. So commendable. Thank you both for all the effort you're putting into it. It needs to be acknowledged and I appreciate it. If not everybody else too, so.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, the Crafton should have local decals. Will be given out as well.
All right, anything else on the business development committee? Do you have flyers and anybody in the audience who wants to? So we'll make.
You're
available.
probably over the table just in case.
Great. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that in mind, we're moving into the final domain here, which is new business. I know that Mike, you probably want to share some things about what's going on in council to give us an update there.
Sure.
I will say a couple of things before I turn it over to you. It's budget season, right? It's budget season, so things like business development committee might have some needs, right? And printing stuff isn't cheap, like those are things that, we should be thinking about. What I'd like to,
It's for decals, if I remember. correctly.
right? Right, so yeah, so so what I'm saying for new businesses, I would like to place onto the agenda, if you guys are okay for the next meeting. A little bit of just a ideation brainstorming about what is it that we find relevant and what we want to focus on for 2026. Knowing that it's budget season, knowing that things are there, so please come prepared with an idea or two, or prepared to engage and listen, because I'm going to give you a segment of some things that I would like to bring forward next month. One is the business committee engagement, just what are the resources we can do. That is clearly a really important focus of our work going forward in the next year, is to make that a success. So what is it that we can do to help really ensure your success? And I don't mean I want you guys working around the clock to do it all.
This is the first thing we're seeing
Yeah.
next year, and we'll
Yeah.
go back to the next meeting.
Perfect. Perfect.
Greg has been part of that. Greg has been helpful. We have 9 total in that committee, so.
Everybody knows that's perfect. Everybody knows that my political agenda focuses on the trail and focuses on the dog park. And so I guess that's my politics. So I just wanna talk about that. Is there any kind of recommendation? I would like to advertise that in the minutes as having a discussion around the value of a dog park. And then, entertain the idea of maybe, showing some endorsement of that if it's an idea that we've been talking about for so long, to remind the council about. And the last piece I want to take on is, it's kind of undefined, but I think it's really important for the planning commission. And we talk about economic development in terms of Thrive. We talk about, and we're doing some good things there. While we don't talk much about blight. We probably should be
About what, I'm sorry?
blight. right?
Yeah.
What are the things, we've got the conservatorship experiment, we've got, things like that, so what are the land bank, so, what are the things that the planning commission might want to do underneath blight? And the other is the, what I'll call, from Thrive, which is, the pedestrian walkability. But I would like to take a very thin and precise slice on that. I stood at an intersection watching a man bleeding this week, profusely from his head in Crafton. And I watched two Crafton police officers standing over him saying, what a shame. This happens all the time here. This happens all the time here. It happened to be on Duncan. And when I asked a little bit more, there are several intersections. Two of them are in Duncan, where these things seem to be routine. It might be worth us digging into a little bit. There's a state database of all of the police reports that are filed, that categorize them by what's a pedestrian involved, this, that, and the other. I think that maybe, whether it's a subcommittee, or if we want to tackle it all together or something like that, to really understand, because every day I drive past the Crafton, the ice cream parlor. And I see that there is no physical barrier. Right, and it's Allegheny County, and I've heard from council for the past 15 years that, well, it's a county road, we can't do anything about it. Well, maybe we should help.
Which road?
The
On the same color.
Steuben Street, the Crafton.
There you right, or whatever it is.
Crafton Delight. The Crafton Delight ice cream shop there, it's at the bottom of the Churchill. There are no impediments there whatsoever. Right, there's a crosswalk there that is grade D, but at there are millions of dollars being channeled into Steuben Street right now and reconstructing it by the county. I don't know if it's PennDOT doing the work or the county is doing the work or whoever, really don't care. But I think it would be a good thing from the planning commission to help center. Where are those issues in terms of pedestrian safety? Where are those issues that we can, because we can crank some of those numbers out. We can.
Together.
That's why I'm gonna bring it to the agenda. I wanna kind of bring a little plan, like how do we, because the state has a lovely database. They have a lovely database of all this stuff, and you can filter and slice and dice it and all that sort of thing. You don't even need to knock on the Crafton police's door, although I think we should. Absolutely, I think, but yeah, like it should be collaborative. We should also talk to the crossing guards, right? Do a survey of the crossing guards through the school district.
That's people.
And these anecdotes are not data, right? And we all have these conversations every day, about these grisly things that happen. And yet, to hear a police officer who's employed by the Borough of Crafton say they should do something about it, knowing that he's not telling anybody about that in a report. He's not gonna go, you know what I mean? It ends with a side comment of they should do something about that. I take that as a call to action for what we can do here as to maybe help kind of formulate some of the underlying information as to how to make our town more pedestrian friendly. We've got the trail study, we've got walkability as one of our levers of strategic plans. But are we really delivering in terms of making it safe for people here? So
The state's database is entirely based on police.
yeah. And
Whatever's in the bracket.
unfortunately, I had the experience of reading one of those police reports and it was woefully
Well,
under.
they're inaccurate.
Yeah.
Clear.
So that's why I said, like, the more we can do, and I'm not, look, this isn't an anti-police thing. This is just okay, let's figure out, what can we do to help, right? If walkability is a thing and walkability leads to economic development,
Right.
and it's part of our strategic priorities, and we are here to serve the council in terms of furthering the strategic priorities, it seems like that's a darn good place for us to spend some cycles next year. Okay, so with that, dog park, safe intersections, business committee, it's budget season. Let's think about what kind of requests we can make. You had suggested, I'm not opposed to it. What is a year-end report? from the planning commission look like? If you want to come and talk about what your ask is and what we can do to help with that. Anybody else, the things that you guys need from Tuesday night, et cetera.
Right.
I think those are all kind of, that's what I mean by having a planning session for 2026 in the October. Okay?
And I would offer, thank you for bringing these up, particularly the safety issue, but all of them. I did have an item for new business, which is probably appropriate to bring in now, but it's also something that you paved the way, Eric, and I want to talk with the borough about this, but we're a small borough with many commissions. You may remember either in the June or July meeting, I asked about what's our purview.
Right.
And how do we interact with other commissions? That was not for any purpose other than understanding.
Right.
To exactly see, we need to collaborate more across functions and across groups, because we have the same groups of volunteers who are working on most of these things. So anything we can do, and I would venture to say, in the work that I do, it's wonderful that we're doing it, but my first thought would be,
Yep.
say, here's the
For
work
sure.
on this collaborative thing. This is a joint thing.
Absolutely.
What I had hoped, what I had wanted to bring up is something related to trails, which is what I was asking last week. And this is new business and this isn't going to be a priority, but I would love to plant the seed for something that we can maybe make a 2-year project or something longer than that. And that is leveraging and making, leveraging the historic nature of Crafton. And how can we better do that? And there was a suggestion that I got, and we have the resources. I'm sorry, we have the, if resources, we have hard resources. And that is, we have through Chuck Gelati, Chuck is Crafton resident, was a long-term member of the Crafton Historical Society. He worked on the Book of Crafton. He has hundreds of pictures of Crafton. Some that made it into the Book of Crafton, some that didn't make it into the Book of Crafton. And so we had a conversation. I'm also on I'm vaguely an advisory member of Heritage. That can sound like
Kind of perpetuated that work a little bit.
Yeah. But so one really cool idea I thought was, let's start with the trails and have some Crafton signage of old pictures in, it doesn't have to be expensive, but just like when you go to any park, you see things, about the flora, about the fauna, we should have that, and about the community. And then if you look at Green Tree has those little plaques around their park, which talk about the history of it. So I think that there's a way that we can just bring that, again, in support of the strategic plan to build on the history of the community as well as the business development. So I wanted to throw that out there for next year's work.
On rec board, Borough's brought to our attention the America 250 grants that the state of Pennsylvania has for municipalities, nonprofits, community groups to be applying. So I would just, maybe just flag that for you to consider as something that I don't know, next year kind of deal, but still money potentially available.
AJ, as you said it, like I think of two things that are just wildly impressive. The trolley trail has really no signage other than the colloquial reference to it as the trolley trail. Right? That's a great opportunity. I've seen people bring here when I was on council, they brought pictures of just really cool stuff of what the trolley used to look like coming down that trail. So, but there's absolutely no way, no signage, no nothing other than we call it the trolley trail. But if you just landed here from your spaceship from Mars BA, you wouldn't know why it's called the trolley trail, right? So there's opportunities like that. There was also Alice Glasser had one of those older books. Alice, I'm not calling you old. One of these older books of Crafton. It was a guy, just this beautiful white horse standing on Crafton Beach. He was one of the Craft family people, right? The people that sold their whatever in Oakland to establish this town in 18 whatever. And it was really cool. And I was like, I know exactly where that corner is of Crafton Creek, Chartiers Creek, so there's an opportunity to incorporate history into it. The trail, the trail plan has some recommendations in it, and this is another plug tying back to Alan, has some recommendations for a kind of a, if you think about behind Sakai's or behind the Fig Tree, whatever you want to call it, the dentist now, I don't know the name of it, but it used to be Sakai's. There's an area there where they have kind of suggested what could a what could an outdoor patio? And to me, it resonates with this eco-friendly outdoor classroom kind of a thing. With some signage about, this, that, and the other, where the butterflies grow and why not weed is bad, or, whatever it is, right? There could be tremendous opportunities to tie some of that history. A lot of people don't know, if you look down over that hill, there used to be an amusement park, like, the whole enchilada. There was a little lake and a little Ferris wheel and whatever. There's lots of opportunities to preserve some of that history through the walkability and the trails of it. So I think that's a tremendous idea. Thank you, AJ. Anything else? So turning things over, any new business that we should be aware of coming out of council, coming out of the borough that we should be thinking about next year?
Yeah, tomorrow night's council meeting.
Yeah.
I'm continuing to update them on the zoning process, which we are now to a clean zoning code post county review of the zoning code. So those revisions were largely drafted by Mandy, the solicitor Mandy. And so it's on the website now, the newest version of the code. Council will talk about it again tomorrow night. I'm not sure what happens next. They have alternatives. And it's up to them. So
Tomorrow night or Thursday?
it rescheduled for tomorrow night. Council meeting is tomorrow night, Wednesday.
Awesome. All right, any other new business? I'll just end the new business then. If there is any action item for planning commission regarding zoning, obviously we're kind of out of the loop now. There wouldn't be anything in October. The soonest we would see something and ask for us would probably be November.
Probably, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If they're-
We'll need to probably evaluate, and we'll do this at the next meeting, the scheduling of the November meeting, because the November meeting for planning commission always deadlines into the thing. Can you believe it? Thanksgiving holiday. So, okay. So with that in mind, that completes new business, which means we're turning it over to general public comment. If you are online, we ask you in the Zoom box on the bottom left-hand, on the center of the stage, you'll see a little yellow hand or a little hand figure. You press it, you get a little yellow hand. You can raise your hand to speak. Anybody here, please come up. There's a sign-in sheet. Same rules as before. Please be neighborly. And please, you don't have to state your address, but please write down your name and address on the form. Come on.
Nicole, or my raised her hand first.
Oh, Nicole, the floor is yours.
One sec here.
If you guys want to get yourself ready, you can. It's,
Nicole, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We got you.
we got you.
Okay, great. It's really nice to see the consultants' plans and all of the options for the bump outs and the downtown plans. I really appreciate that. I just want to say I'm in favor of all 3 bump outs. And because not only because they're traffic calming and protective of the cars that are already parked there, but in favor of flat bump outs due to the fact that the traffic passing through was described as, needing leeway. Another thing I'm in favor of is putting asphalt art in the bump outs to further distinguish and beautify the downtown area. I think that draws attention to the safety areas and slows and directs traffic. And there have been a number of safety studies done about the benefits of asphalt art. I put 2 links in the Q&A that have information about that, but I can certainly email them as well. And I think the art can also be used to create community engagement if that's so desired. I'm also in favor of the proposed improvements around the fig tree. And one comment about pedestrian safety. I know this incident occurred in Zone 6 because it's on Morange Road next to Bishop Canavan, but there is a school signal there that has been broken for months. And consequently, people in the neighborhood have taken to just speeding through at any time and not heeding the actual hours when the signal should be active. I was driving through there the other day, slowed down to 15 because it was 3:30 in the afternoon on a weekday, and somebody just sped around me going 45 miles per hour because they were upset that I had slowed down. So it made me think. I did call Zone 6 and 311 about that and just let them know that the signal needs to be repaired, but it made me think that even in our jurisdiction, we should maybe post, if it's not already posted, consider posting the hours when the signals are supposed to be active, just so that that highlights people's awareness and the safety of the children there and the people walking around. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. All right, anyone else online? Great feedback. And Nicole, we got your links posted in the Q&A. Anyone online? Okay, in person?
Hello. All right. My name is Richard Dixon. I live at 1761 Crafton Boulevard. I want to thank everybody, and their input when it comes to the business development in this area. This is something that's concerned me for a long time. My family moved here in the mid-50s and, our starts in on East Crafton Avenue, so it's very important to us. My problem is what is it going to become? Or what are we here? That is my concern. Because we're talking about all these upgrades, all these changes. I talk to homeowners every day, I walk my dog every day. Sometimes to not the happiness of other people, but one of the things that comes up is we would always talk about, of course, what the chair had said about garbage cans.
Right.
You know, we used to have them on corner.
Right.
You know, corner of Bradford and Crafton Boulevard, and all the way up because it was a bus stop.
Crafton, Noble.
So. You know, a lot of people will start disposing these items elsewhere in somebody else's trash and so forth, so. I'm guilty of that as well. But I think there should be a defining. Of our business area. Of who we are, what we want it to be. Because honestly, there is no. Map of what we're gonna be. We have businesses that close early along our street and we are left to a bar crawl. Okay, and I know that personally because I was one of those people until 13 years ago. Between Rolos and the Circle and ordering from Serafino's, you know, those are the only 3 areas of business at night. But it's also needing of upgrading. And that's a safety issue. I was almost struck in the middle of the street going from walking my dog. And somebody did a U-turn right in front of me.
Yep.
And I was gone. So those are things that I consider. I live in Bump Out Alley on Crafton Boulevard. And I'm not with it all the time. Sometimes I am. But people run through those intersections all the time, even with bump outs. I look at bump outs as a safety issue, not an art issue. Because I live on an area where kids come down every day.
Yeah.
And it's not patrolled enough. And, you know, we have other areas of concern. To the intersection of where Crafton the Light is. You need to talk to those old crossing guards. One of them is at the firehouse right now, the other one's at the top of McMunn.
Yep.
They will both tell you how people would drive around the school buses. And run the lights down there.
You got it.
So, and there's other safety concerns. I was attacked back in 2014 along that area as well. And, as a person who walks a service animal, that's not a good thing. But I just would just ask, and like I said, I appreciate what the development of this area and the leadership. I appreciate it. But we really need to define it.
Yep.
$300,000 doesn't go that far either.
Nope.
And so I just, thank you again.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. Next.
Brenda Wozniak, 1773 Bar. Do we have our solicitor still as part of this group? He's not.
Yeah, as needed, as
So
needed,
she's
yeah.
not
She,
record.
yeah, not regular, yeah.
What will dictate, this will be the subject matter or?
Mostly just zoning. So everything outside of zoning would go to the regular
Regular
solicitor's
solicitor.
office.
Two other things, when we were considering the DCD design alternatives, I would definitely consider some consistencies, even in something as small as the trash cans. The park has red cans, blue cans, we have black cans, we just give the can color. We don't need.
Let's spray paint them.
We don't really need to see them, and if we buy new ones, let's
By whatever color we decide.
Well, I think that's a really important suggestion because visually we should look unified. The new ones, we're not gonna be able to put the new ones everywhere the old ones are, so we're getting new ones, but I do think that's a, you know, a good.
Yeah, they look like new ones at the park.
Yeah, and they did, the park just did some upgrades and so,
Curiosity. When it comes to the redesigning the circle plantings, I think we should be very intentional and considerate of the folks that have maintained that and been good stewards a long time for that planting. It doesn't happen in a year, it doesn't happen in 5 years. Some of those plantings take a very long time to come to fruition and actually yield something, so maybe consider how we would maintain a different type of thing if it's not gonna be easy, no matter which way we consider it, but I agree with the plaque. It should be more visible, but it's, I enjoy what's there now, we have to consider the people that put the work in to make that the butterfly way station and consider that. I think that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I would hope that a uniform design standard is not just who's ordering out of the book this week. And I hope that anybody who's tinkering with the circle is thinking about traffic and being able to see across and all of those sorts of things, because safety is paramount. Period. So with that in mind, I don't see any hands raised online. Do we have anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak? I will go ahead and then move into a motion to adjourn. You're motioning.
Second.
All in favor? There we go.
Sorry.
Yep. All right, we are
Thank you, everybody.
adjourned.
thanks, everyone.